Okay guys, good morning. Here we are. It's the 13th of August and I'm going to be looking at the strength of the market, see who's the strongest and the weakest, see if there's also an asset that you can trade, and then times to avoid on the economic calendar. Now I do this every single morning for the squad. I normally get it up before sort of 7:30, 8 o'clock, and publicly it just goes sometime mid-morning. So if you're part of the squad, get to see this straight away. You can also request things as well. So let's jump ourselves straight into this. What we can see is the biggest mover and shaker is JPY and the Aussie dollar. Now JPY, as suspected, it was starting to gather speed and it has moved to the top of the tree from the last data sample. Now this has shook the market up a little bit. The market is still incredibly tightly packed. It probably will be till the end of the month. So I'm not overly worried about that. But it does make things quite difficult to trade because you've got to be a bit patient, and trades that would normally take sort of an hour and maybe taking 2 or 3, but also the ATRs have dropped considerably. Now that's also something to take into account. Euro dollar traditionally is a relatively slow market, but now it's actually painfully slow. And it's staying below 50 ATR, so the chances of trading it has become slim. So I'm kind of leaving it alone at the moment. I do have a rule, that is, if an ATR is below 60, I don't even look at it. And at the moment, we've got cable and euro dollar sitting below that threshold, and they're both hard work. So I'm kind of going to ignore them for a little while. But let's go through the list. Euro dollar, where euro's sitting in the middle of the ground, and the dollar has slightly shifted higher, so it's not bad. What that tells me is not a great deal. It means they're tightly packed and they're not going to be going anywhere, and likewise change of strengths, they're sitting on top of each other, so it's going to be a bit hard work. Same with pound dollar, which is showing the same criteria here. But one thing that's interesting is the pound has lost quite a lot of ground, whereas the euro has gained 6 points from the last data sample. The pound has lost strength altogether. Maybe his confidence isn't so good. We do watch the UK economy because we are British, and it's kind of in tatters at the moment. But what these two tell me is they kind of help me as to which indices I would like to look at. And I prefer to look at an extreme indices. And what that means is the stronger currency. So the pound is sitting at the tops, which naturally will feed over onto the FTSE. The FTSE will be the stronger. It's just a quick, easy barometer as to how I can quickly look at a market. If I was looking at the DAX, the euro's in the middle, could go either way. So it could either push high, or push low, which again affects the DAX, means the DAX don't really know which way it's going. With the pound being high, that gives me good opportunity with the FTSE, because there will be some form of a reaction, but a clear reaction. So that's what I'm looking at. Okay. Now the next one is USJPY. Well, they're both sitting in the top, so that rules that out. But we do have the dollar sitting high, which means it's going to put pressure into gold. Now, if that's the case, gold may drop. Now, I am actually trading gold as we speak. Let me pull this down into shot a second. That's better. Just pull that down into shot. This is the gold chart running down this morning, and I've already been in 116 quid this morning. Now, I did hold it from last night, did incredibly well with it yesterday, for those who have been following it. So, let's carry on back with this. So, gold is something that's on my radar at the moment. It hasn't been for a long time because it was so high, I didn't have any levels to work with. I now have it in play. So, I'll keep half an eye on that. That's already going. So, what else have we got? So, the three currencies are wrote off. Of the DAX and the FTSE is the one that I'm looking at. If you are looking at major currencies, the Aussie dollar is the best of the bunch, followed by US Swissy. Now, if you flick it over here to have a little look, what you've got is you've got the Aussie on the bottom, the US on the top, which is better, and there is a separation. So there is movement on Aussie dollar. And then the US Swissy, again, it's a similar story. However, what I'd be careful with is the US and the Swissy have gained strength over the last data sample, and there isn't a separation. So that makes Aussie dollar the better market. Now we'll look at the calendar. Just take off the low level stuff. What we're left with is this. Have a quick look through, see if there's any CPI or PMI. You do have one at 11:30 tonight, so that won't really affect anything. So we're only interested in high impact. You've got UK news coming in, well, now. And then later on this afternoon, we have a spike coming in at 1:30. That's all that'll be. It's just a spike. It's not something that will turn a market too much, but be aware that that is there. And what you'll see is 1:30, markets will pop if you're on a US market, and then just carry on into the trend. So have yourselves a great day. See you on the next one.